All the plans were in place, the finance was in place, and if the government had taken the decision, rather than to go it their own way, to basically continue with our plans, the power station would have been built by now, and these problems would have been a thing of the past. Now, he is basically saying that it's going to take 2 years from the moment that the work start for it to be completed. Well, look, everything was in place when the GSD in 2011 for our own power station. If the works have been completed, have been started in 2012, by his own analysis, they would have been completed now. What he can't really do is say, ours is going to take 2 years. I don't believe it is, but ours is going to take 2 years from when the works commence, but theirs would have taken much, much longer. It's an absurd comparison.
Well, as the Chief Minister has argued, the GSD received a report in 2004, so that's where the timeline begins. Your party wasn't able to deliver a new power station in 7 years.
Well, yes, and look, I am agreeing with you that we must take some of the blame. I mean, you know, I haven't.
But it's not some of the blame. If the report said, as the Chief Minister says, that the power station was going to become very problematic in 2013, and you were told in 2004, and your party remained in power until 2011, surely you must shoulder, your party, not you as the leader of that party now, but your party must shoulder the large part of the blame for Gibraltar not having a power station that is fit for purpose today.
No, I don't accept the large part of the blame. I accept that we should bear some responsibility, and I accept that. And look, I've always been candid about that. But we started, the report was commissioned 2004, or came 2004, 2005, but here's 10 years ago. Now, in 2007, we placed in motion our plans to build a new power station. So it was embroiled, no, hang on a minute, it was embroiled in litigation from about 2009, 2010. That's the reason why it wasn't built. And the whole thing was settled by 2011.
But the report came in 2004. What happened for the first 3 years until 2007? And secondly, even from 2007, your party wasn't able to deliver a power station in 4 years. How can you now criticise the GSLP Liberals for not delivering it in less than 3?
But look, the criticism of the government, for us, the criticism of the government is, if you accept that the situation with the power supply in Gibraltar was getting critical by 2013, certainly in 2011, you knew it was going to get critical. Well, look, what you do is
you really give 2004.
No, yeah, but hang on a minute. I have told you what you're trying to goad me into saying is the GSD is 100% at fault for this situation. I'm sorry, I don't agree with you. If what you have is a situation where you know it's going to be critical, and you have plans to build a power station in Lathbury Barracks, for the sake of the community at large, what you don't do is just simply scrap those plans and start all over again. They have started over again 2.5 years into their term in office, and they've only just closed the tender. The reality is that we haven't even started on the gas installation, we haven't started on the land reclamation, and we haven't even started works on the power station, which is absolutely critical to Gibraltar. Now, I accept that perhaps we could have done it 3 years earlier, but in 2007 we put our plans in motion, and the only reason why it didn't happen in that term was because of the legal challenges.
Another point of contention, of course, is that the GSLP Liberals say that diesel was the wrong choice as it was becoming too expensive. Their argument is that they had to change the plans so as to minimise Gibraltar's dependence on diesel.
Well, there are 2 points about that. The first is whether environmentally and from a point of view of safety of the community, it makes sense to basically shift from diesel to a dual fire, diesel and gas. We're very concerned about placing a gas installation at the detached mole and having a gas fueled power station in the middle of what is a residential area. I think we're really concerned about that. We certainly wouldn't have done it. The government's decided to do it, and look, good luck to the government, and I hope that they are successful in relation to that. The second point is the question of price. For the Chief Minister to suggest that diesel is going up, but that gas is somehow going to stay, the price is going to stay static or even come down, or it's not going to go up, it's ridiculous. I mean, you only need to look at the situation in Russia, the situation in the Ukraine, to see that actually there's a huge possibility that gas, the price of gas, might also go up. So we'll see how that plays out. But there is another point about this, which is which I think there is it's reflective of malaise in Gibraltar society and the attitude of politicians here in Gibraltar towards society. And it's this. I mean, he said, well, we are at the moment subsidizing by 40%, subsidizing the price of electricity. And he then went on to say, and if we have gas, I might even bring the price of electricity down. Where else in the world do you have a situation where electricity is subsidized to that extent? I do not think that it is responsible for any politician in Gibraltar to assume that the good times are going to continue forever. And that is one of the fundamental dividing lines between myself and Mr. Picardo. He is the unashamed populist that makes promises to people in return for votes, and I am saying you've got to be responsible, and bearing in mind the public finance situation, I don't believe that you can assume that the good times are going to continue forever.
And finally, would the cost of electricity have gone up by 5% every year, as the Chief Minister claims, had your party won the last election?
Well, it's certainly true that the business plan that was placed before the banks for the purpose of obtaining a loan for our power station did provide in that business plan for an increase, I think it was, of about 5% annually. The government, of course, could have decided to assume that increased cost itself. But I think that it is right to question whether we can continue with a 40% subsidy and not increase the price of electricity ad infinitum. I just do not think that it is responsible. And we just cannot continue here in Gibraltar assuming that recurrent expenditure can just simply rise and rise and rise, and that our revenue is always going to rise at a par. I've said already that one is outstripping the other, and I'm very concerned. And I don't believe that there is anything wrong in being a voice of caution and being a voice of responsibility here in this and indeed in other issues as well.